Welcome to ISTQB Back to Basics, presented by 294 Australia. This is the second video in a series going through the ISTQB Foundation Syllabus and providing you with the context and examples. The second video covers 1.1.1 Typical Objectives of Testing. We'll start off beginning with the end of the first video. What is testing? Software testing is a way to assess the quality of the software and to reduce the risk of software failure in operation. Is testing the same as debugging? What is the difference? Executing tests can show failures that are caused by defects in the software, whereas debugging is a development activity that finds, analyzes, and fixes such defects. Once the debugging is completed and the correction is made, it is common practice and best practice to confirm the correction through repeating the testing. It is for this reason that a tester is an integral part of the development. Additionally, in agile teams, part of the team involves a tester. Quite often, the tester will also execute the debugging themselves, bringing the link between testing and debugging even closer. Coming to the point, objectives of testing. There are many different reasons for testing. Not only are we interested in understanding what testing is, but also why we test. It may sound obvious, to prevent defects, but why? Why do we want to prevent defects? Where do we want to prevent the defects from occurring? Do we want to prevent defects from our end users? Or do we want to prevent defects from appearing in the next stage of testing? From my experience, the most time during testing is to verify the requirements are fulfilled. In doing so, many defects are found and corrected. An application that doesn't have any defects, but also doesn't fulfill the intended use, is effectively useless, and therefore it is irrelevant as to whether or not there are defects. Check if it works as expected is an extension to verifying requirements. If an application works as defined, but it is not what the user expects for any reason, it is also detrimental to the final product. On the other end of testing, a developer might test their development, not against the requirements, but against their expectations of what they developed. The fourth point, build confidence in quality level, is not an objective that I immediately understood when I started testing, but I have since recognized the importance of this objective in any project. With the same level of test effort being put in, would you rather accept and use an application where there were many major defects being found until the very last stage of testing, or would you prefer one and be more confident in an application where the only defects that were found were early in the development and quickly fixed? This comes back to the first point. We want to prevent defects early in the process to save effort and time and also build confidence in the quality of the system. But ultimately, we want to prevent as many defects as possible from entering into the final product that is used by the end user and that could have a real impact on the business using it. By involving various stakeholders or representatives of different stakeholders in the testing process, you are enabling a steady flow of information to and from those stakeholders, building familiarity, confidence, and acceptance of the application, as well as getting feedback earlier in the process than if they hadn't been involved. The final point is similar to verifying requirements, but as opposed to internal requirements, it is also extremely important to check external compliance and in many industries also document what and how this was tested before an application can be delivered into production. When testing, you should consider what the current goal is to be. For example, by reviewing requirements and technical specifications, the goal is to prevent defects from occurring due to inconsistencies or possible misunderstandings. Or maybe the goal is to check compliance with legal requirements. For the early stages of testing, the goal may be to find as many defects as possible to have a smoother later stage of testing, and finally, better experience by the end user. A focus may be to check whether the development fulfills the technical specifications. While it is important that the technical specifications are met, in a later stage of testing, it will be important to confirm whether the requirements from a business and from a legal perspective are fulfilled, and that the big picture is not lost with the detail. Often, one of the goals of the later phases of testing is building the confidence in the final quality of the product and exposing the stakeholders to the product, the processes, and the application. Any objective can be the goal of multiple phases, and in every phase there can be multiple goals. What is important is that you learn to understand or define what the objective is for the specific test phase or for the specific test. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.